All right, here we go. It's Tuesday, and there's only one direction for Craig and the fellas to head. That's right, back-to-back losses and looking up in the division today. You know what's at stake? A shot at redemption offensively, because this team, they're 3-1 when they score 5 or more, and the sun, it is shining. The good news and bad news is that they'll be playing inside of a dome. We'll see if the defense is ready to answer the call as long as the bats are ready to wake up as well. An aggressive approach that could be the blueprint for victory down there in St. Pete. You know what time it is. Cubs Live, first pitch right around the corner, 1 hour and 10 minutes and counting. So with that said, pull up a chair, welcome on in. This is Cubs Live, presented by Toyota, the official vehicle of your Chicago Cubs. I'm Cole Wright. That man right there needs no introduction. It's the 9-year big leaguer Ryan Sweeney and Sween Dog. Taking a look at the Cubs right now at the bottom of the division. The only way they can go is up right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talked about it last night on the postgame show. They lost their first back-to-back games all year. But what we talked about is they need to win these next 2 games to try to finish 500.
Yeah.
Going into that off day to play Pittsburgh. Look, you're 4 games back in the division right now, and then you're playing division rivalries coming up. You do not want to fall back any farther.
Yeah, 28th in Major League Baseball in batting average as well as slug. Now, if you don't have one, it would help a whole lot if you had the other. And right now, the Cubs don't have either one.
Well, there's certain positives to take out of every game with certain at-bats that guys are having, like Happ going the other day after all the strikeouts and comes up with a double and a homer. Last night was Shaw being able to hit that homer.
Sure.
Swanson's got his first homer. I know there's been a lot of hard hit rate balls, but look, we talk about it. I want some average, right? I want some guys that are going to go out there and get on base. And I think we talked about it last night as well. It's like it seems like when these Cubs put up 2 runs, then it comes back, and then you look up and it's 3-2, and then they come back and it's 4-3, and then you look up and it's 6-4, and that's what the final score ended up being last night. So it's when you get those runs, you have to go out there and put that goose egg, for lack of a better word, up there with that 0 on the board, and gives you that confidence rolling with that momentum into the next inning.
Yeah, I think you and I, we'd both take a 400 average with everything soft contact, and then wait for some of that hard contact to fall in. But there's plenty of hard contact that we've seen so far. Now we're just waiting for it to grab some outfield grass. Now that's the good news, optimistic outlook, but we do have some bad news to bring you. We told you yesterday about Cade Horton and everything that ailed him, and now, well, it is official. That's why it's in that dark red. He will have surgery to repair his UCL, and his season is effectively over with. The timetable, it is still to be determined, so let's go straight to the source. Not necessarily Cade, but it's his skipper, Craig Counsell.
Cade is, we get bad news. Cade is going to have surgery. He's going to miss the rest of the year. So there's damage to the elbow, UCL damage. The exact surgery is they'll find out when they do the surgery. But bad news. Yeah, it's just they go in and they kind of determine the damage when they go in there. Yeah.
I guess just how are you processing? I know you mentioned when it happened, like wanting the full scope of the injury.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, first of all, feel for Cade, and these things get thrown in front of you that are big, and you have to, and processing it on a day like today for Cade is really hard, because there's you just start to look at what's ahead of you, and there's a lot of long days of some monotonous work ahead of you, and that's the first thing you kind of do, I think, as an athlete, is start to think about the work ahead that you got, and I think it makes you kind of cherish the good days that you have and understand that we don't get all good days. And this certainly isn't one of them for Cade. So, from a team perspective, we have to look at these as, someone else is going to get a chance. And there's, going to be opportunity for someone else to prove, they can be part of a great baseball team. Yeah, I mean, you just do. That's how this works. Is that someone's going to get an opportunity, and I guess kind of directly, it's, Colin's going to be asked to pitch more innings than out of the bullpen, and then somebody's going to take Colin's bullpen innings. That's how it's going to be, I want to say on paper, fixed. That's how it's going to be kind of addressed on paper. But it's not all on Colin, or it's not all on the guy that replaces Colin in the bullpen. It's, we all have to just do our part. And that's what you do. You just do your part. And that doesn't, we've got opportunity ahead of us. And that's how you look at it.
Did you personally get to talk to Cade?
Yeah, I talked to Cade this afternoon, or kind of he saw the doctor in Dallas this morning. So, I think, kind of as discussed before, it's you put your head to like what's next, and you're just disappointed. I mean, the fun thing we get to do is compete. That's the other stuff. All the preparation to compete, is fun, and it's part of the kind of grind of your job. But you got to do the grind of your job kind of without the fun, and I think that's always the hard part. But in a lot of ways, Cade is wired to be successful here because it's just who he is, and he will be successful at it. And we're going to miss him this year, but no, he'll be back as strong as ever.
So he got news yesterday from one MRI. He got second.
Yeah, I mean, I think, this was a situation from the start. Like, he was going to get multiple opinions, kind of no matter what. So, yeah.
There's been no dates set for surgery?
No. It won't be this week. Yeah, so there's damage to the UCL. My understanding is that that MRI tells you some things, it doesn't tell you everything, and so that when they do the surgery, they determine the type of. There's these words that I don't want to get mixed up. There's repair, I don't. There's exactly so. When they go in, they'll decide what they have. The doctor will decide what he has to do.
So as we heard from Craig, surgery on Cade Horton will reveal a whole bunch more, but the one thing is certain, the UCL damage, it has been done in his season. It is effectively over. How big of a gut punch is this, not only for the Chicago Cubs and their rotation, but for a young stud like Cade Horton?
That's what I was going to say. This is a huge blow to the Cubs rotation, but
tough.
Not alone just mentally on Cade Horton. I think you look at his career trajectory and what he was able to do last year and really be one of those rising stars. And look, Steele had this happen last year, and then Horton came up and pitched unbelievably and then was unable to pitch in the playoffs because of an injury, then has a great spring training. You think everything's going to be fine, and then this happens. So, this is just baseball, man. It throws some wrenches at you, and it's one of those things where it's tough to be able to mentally, you think of the road ahead of you, but you look at these guys. Look, Javier Assad's going to be getting a lot of starts now this year.
Sure.
Ben Brown, you don't know if he's going to stay in the bullpen, but Colin Rea was outstanding last year. I'm guessing that Riley Martin now, since coming up and making his Major League debut yesterday, he pitched outstanding, so I'm sure he's going to stay. So, look, this is what we talk about having all this depth in the rotation and in the bullpen, and you have to have it because ultimately you like 5 guys to start and stick with your horses all through the year, but it just doesn't end up working out that way.
Yeah, right about now it's that all hands on deck mentality. We heard Craig say that Colin Rea, he's going to absorb a whole bunch of starting pitching innings, and whoever down there is in the bullpen, they're going to need to eat up some of the innings that he would see coming out of that bullpen when those barn doors swing open. Unfortunate news all the way around, but like Craig said, there's opportunity ahead of him, and everyone needs to do their part. And we're doing our part right here on Cubs Live, because right around the corner, we're going to deliver you lineups as always. Plus, we're going to let you know how Javier Assad can get some offensive support. How can the boys swing the sticks to victory? That's next on Cubs Live.